Ever since I was a kid, I wanted to be a musician, and I was able to fulfill that dream by taking a little vacation to America and with a guitar and a backpack, seeing what's out there. And I ended up in a groundbreaking metal band called Fear Factory, which I toured with for about 16, 17 years. Now I'm in a band called Powerflo with members from Cypress Hill, Biohazard, and Downset. And we just finished playing Download and all the big festivals here in the UK. The best thing about it is, the ultimate rush you get being on stage in front of, thousands of people. It doesn't matter if you play in front of 50 or 100,000 people, you get that adrenaline rush. Same rush you get when you land a 30 or a 40. That's like the ultimate, rush for a carp angler. It's the same but playing live. It's the same adrenaline, same feeling, just in a different setting. I got into fishing when I was maybe around like 8, 9 years old. Pole fishing in the little rivers around Holland and Belgium. It was my grandfather who started taking me to the little canals in Holland. One day I caught a carp that was maybe like a kilo or something. The fight was so ferocious that led me into going after the species in particular and target just carp, and I fell in love with it, and 40 years later I'm still doing it. It would definitely be a guy named Frank Ebens. He was the local hero angler around the lake. He always had the best baits, the best mixes, his tactics, and you could just tell he was at a whole other level than most of the other anglers on the lake, and everybody respected him. And he was very unapproachable in a lot of ways, and everything was very secretive back then. But he finally started taking me a little bit under his wing. He started liking me. He liked my mom, and saw the passion. And one day he gave me a bag of mix, and start putting me next to him, and I started learning some of his techniques, and that's how I became the angler that I probably am today. I think springtime. Where I live in California, we don't have the long winters. Actually, in California, the winters are the best time. But I think in Europe, my favorite time was the spring times. But where I live in California, near Los Angeles, the winter time is amazing. It's the coolest time of the year, and it feels like an English springtime. Usually there's not many people around the lakes, people not really camping and boating around that time. And I would say in America, fishing around California, where it's nice and warm in the winter times, that's my favorite time. Well, I am a plant-based eater. I don't eat meat or fish, and stay away as much as possible from cheese and dairy products. I would say just make a vegetable stir fry or something, or there's a lot of vegetable hamburgers and vegetable hot dogs that are amazing. So I can just barbecue just like anybody else. I just base all my food around plant-based foods. That's a little bit of a catch-22, I think. There's a lot more anglers, the sport has grown, but it's a lot overexploited in certain areas where there's too many anglers, and you start seeing that as well. So it's sometimes harder to find fish, it's harder to find good lakes, it's crowded, there's no tickets left. But we never saw pictures like the way we see pictures and video of angling. Like, we never saw that in the 80s. It was reading books and photos taken with cameras with photo rolls in it. Now everything is digital. You can see so much footage and amazing adventures of people fishing around the country, and it's amazing. Now the car videos have become like their own little movies in a way, and you really can feel somebody's adventure and passion and where they're at in nature or by their surroundings. And back in the day, you could just get that from a photo. Here, I caught a nice fish, here's the photo to prove it. But now you have video and 4K, and everything it looks so amazing, and you can really feel that angler's passion and nature and the surroundings. And I think in a way it's definitely good. It's for the better, I think. It also shows the world that what we do, and can't keep it a secret forever, I think it's that, you don't catch fish all the time, and you would think most people would give it up. This is boring. You should have caught something by now, but it's not always about that. It's about being out here and enjoying nature. But once you do get that bite and the adrenaline rushes through your blood, it's very much like playing music on stage in front of people. It's that adrenaline that your heart starts racing, and when you do get a nice fish on the bank and you're just buzzing, and I think it's the adrenaline that keeps you coming back. And also, it turns into an addiction. That unbelievable adrenaline rushing through your veins. It's like jumping out of an airplane, parachuting, or playing on stage, or riding a motorcycle, something that gives you that adrenaline rush. And carp fishing does that, even though you're in a very relaxed atmosphere. But once that bite comes, you're on your toes, and it's quite an experience. If I only could pick one thing from the Trakker range, it would have to be a bed chair. Just laying down by nature and your rods and you can sit on it, and it's definitely my favorite piece of kit. Of course, the Tempest Brawley goes in conjunction with that. It's my second favorite. Yeah, the bed chair. The one I use is a compact in Los Angeles. A lot of small lakes, smaller areas, more urban, and that bed chair is just perfect for me. It's easier. It's not as big. It's easy to handle. Quick load in, quick load up, set up so quickly, and it's my favorite piece of kit for sure. I had a lot of favorite memories, but I'm not going to go so far back in time. I think one of my favorite memories of fishing on the bank was probably 2013, when I became more of an American carp angler rather than a Belgium-based carp angler, because since I moved to the US 25 years ago. And I searched out this little park lake within a city of Los Angeles called Whittier. It's a park lake with a lot of tourism and people always walking around jogging and stuff. And I was determined to believe that there was something bigger than 30 pounds in that lake. And on a Christmas day in 2013, I proved that, and I caught a 37-pound fish, common. And the people around the lake, everybody surrounding me, nobody could believe that it was, a fish that size in that lake. And that was definitely a very memorable day. And you can actually see the picture on the Trakker website in the Team Trakker section. People were trying to buy the fish from me. The Asians in the neighborhood were trying to buy the fish from me, try to give me a bunch of money for it, because they thought, to them it's food over there. And I was like, nope, sorry, this is going back where it belongs. I remember growing up at a little lake in Belgium. It was a gravel pit near Antwerp, and there was a small group of anglers. There was maybe like 6 or 7 of us that fished for carp around the lake, and we kept everything very secretive. And there was a lot of pranks. I remember there was always a lot of pranks. In particular, my mentor angler pulled a big prank on me one time. He had one of his mates just go around the bush, and I was angling across from him. There was a divider between 2 lakes. He was fishing the big lake, I was fishing the smaller lake. So it was only like about 30 feet in between. And he had his mate in the bushes with a little hook on the end of my line, just sitting there. And I was hanging out with them, and they were just teasing me the whole time. I hear my bite alarm go off, and he goes, "I think you got a bite." So I'd be running over, and I would go back, and he goes, "What happened?" "I don't know. Something's going on." So they would, everybody would get pranked on the lake, and there's many funny stories probably, but that's the first one that really pops into my mind. And that was my first little lesson by getting pranked. And you can tell that when you're getting pranked on the lake, that means you're part of the team, and they like you. Otherwise, they wouldn't even play with you like that, But there was a lot of funny moments, and there's always so many stories that I remember people talking about events that happen, and people sinking through fishing boats, and there's stories for days. That's the first one I can think of, actually. The first item I would never leave home without, if I go on touring the world, playing shows, or when I go fishing, and that would be disposable baby wipes, because you don't want to deal with toilet paper on the bank, one wipe and you're clean, and that's the way to go. Of course, put it in the bag and zip tie it up. The second has to be coffee. I mean, the first thing when you wake up, you want to brew. And the third one would probably be my phone, which is a little bit sad to say, but I always try to stay as much off social media on my phone when I'm on the bank. But you know, you always want to take pictures of nature and show everyone what you're doing. And so the phone, the iPhone, that damn iPhone, that would be number 3. I always try to sell them more on the camping and social aspect of being at the bank with a bivvy and a bed chair, and you know, let's go hang out and soak up nature and have a beer and you know, have some barbecue and stuff like that. So even if I had a missus that I would try to, you know, pursue to go into the lake, I usually do the picnic angle, you know, and that lures them in a lot quicker. And then when they get a little vibe of what's really going on the bank with the rods, and when they do see a fish on the lake, they're usually in the moon, you know. And I've had my guitarist in my band, he likes bass fishing, but he came by the lake one time and sat next to me, and he saw me catch like in a mid-20, and I mean, he still tells a story to everywhere we go. One time I was at the lake with Christian, and oh my God, once people see a fish, that is only the cherry on top, you know.